Welcome to the beer pad. Now tell me, do you know your scrolls from your Kree? Do you know how good or how bad Secret Invasion was? Is it the best or the worst of the Marvel show so far? If you're interested, you're in the right place. If not, piss off. I'm Marcus Beer, and joining me today is our regular contributor, Mr. Paul Semel, or Skrull Semel as he is right now. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Paul is off world right now.
Yeah, so Paul's. I mean, look, Paul's off world, and a Skrull has simmed you, and that's what they look like. I mean, come on, you think they would have zhuzhed it up just a smidge, you know?
Well, normally I look like Charlize Theron, but for the purposes of this,
I've seen Charlize Theron twice in public, and she looks nothing like you. Thank God. And then obviously the D'Artagnan, if you will, our third rusty steer or musketeer, the legend that is Raymundo Padilla.
Hello,
Raymond. How are you, my friend?
I am good. I'm happier now that I'm seeing two of my favorite people.
Oh, when are they turning up?
You are both here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. That's really sad damning indictment on your taste and your social circle. I kid. Love you too, brother. I understand you have some keeping of house before we crack on.
I do. And let me start with, it's Tuesday. You know what that means. But I just wanted to do some housekeeping. Guys, if you're watching and leaving comments, we are going to save a bunch of those for the end. In a big Q&A session, there were some mistakes I made on last week's show. I mistakenly said that Invincible Season 2 was out because my Apple Watch lied to me. It told me Season 2 of Invincible is out. But that is not the case, as Marcus told me after the show. That's coming... Did you say November?
Yes, and what I actually said was, "You bastard! You lied to me. You got me all excited for Invincible Season 2." And no. Apparently, it's a prequel one-off.
Yes, a lovely episode of Adam Eve. It was a little under an hour, but also very high quality stuff, as we've come to expect from the Invincible people. But it was not a full season. But this was a nice appetizer for season 2. Yes.
Was your bouche amused?
It was. My friend Carlos, who is probably watching or will soon be watching, he told me that I got the ticker wrong. I mistakenly misspelled Kingsley Ben-Adir's name. I left out an S. I made him Kingly Ben-Adir. I apologize for that. If there's one thing a person has, it is their name. And last but not least, please like our Facebook page. Let me put it back. There it is up top. Follow us on all our socials, but please, I'm trying to get our Facebook like count up for reasons that shall be noted. But as Marcus said today, we are talking about Secret Invasion. Now, Paul, how would you describe, in a nutshell, what is Secret Invasion?
It was a TV show.
Pretty sure it still is.
Yeah.
I know this one.
All right, Marcus.
It was a TV show that was on their Disney Plus that was very, very hyped, and we're very excited because it was all about Nick motherfucking Fury.
Yeah.
And we all thought it was going to be the tits, and it was about shape-shifting Skrulls, and it was all around the world, and it had an absolutely stellar cast, and we were all super excited.
And instead, what did we get, Marcus?
A pile of shit.
Yeah, that is a pretty succinct way to put it. Really quick, in 4 sentences or less, do you guys believe that Secret Invasion was the worst Marvel show on Disney Plus so far?
Oh. Okay. Well, no, because when you guys posed the question, is it the worst Marvel show, the first thing I thought of was Inhumans.
Oh, Inhumans. Yeah.
Which I've never even made it past the second episode of that, and I tried twice.
I mean, there are a couple. I mean, you do narrow it down. You say obviously Disney Plus, but I mean, Iron Fist?
Yeah, I mean Iron Fist and Inhumans for sure, but
Did you
Disney
ever see
Plus, which has been
oh.
generally high quality, I think to me this was easily the worst Disney Plus show for the MCU in terms of writing, wasted performances. To be fair, for me, I didn't like the comics that it was based on to begin with, so my expectations weren't too high, even though the cast was phenomenal. Now, what do you guys think?
It was shit. All right. Yeah. I was so hyped for this. I mean, there has been a noticeable downturn in the quality of the output from the Marvel types, and I'm very upset. For every Miss Marvel, there is a Moon Knight. For every Guardians 3, there is an Ant-Man. Ant-Man Quantumania, and for every every I don't know, something that's good like Loki, there is the anti-Loki, which is Secret Invasion. I cannot express enough my my disappointment in this show. I mean, first of all, it does have
you can go for it.
Yes. Oh, in fact, was that more than 4 lines? Sorry, I'm done.
No, it's all good. No, I'll keep going.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it had everything going for it. It had a budget. It had Sam Jackson. It had the Skrulls. It had a banging cast. I mean, the cast oozes geek chic and classiness, cachet, acting talent.
Yeah,
Olivia fucking Colman,
yeah,
Oscar winner Olivia fucking Colman, the woman who will turn up in the most random of shows and automatically make them better by 73%. It is actually a scientific fact
that when
science. Olivia fucking Colman, which is her proper birth name, by the way, turns up in a show, whether it be The Bear, whether it be The Crown, whether it be The Doctor Who, and whether it be The Secret Invasion, she makes it better. And the fact is, while her being the best character, the most interesting character in this entire show, and to take that away from Samuel L. Jackson is no mean feat. She basically made so much of what little she had to play with that she deserves her own Marvel show right now. She's the only one who comes out of that with any credit whatsoever.
I wouldn't go that far. I thought Charlene Woodard was really good.
No,
did not
I went
agree?
there.
Okay.
No.
But you brought up other things like Moon Knight and Ant-Man, and while those weren't as good as other Marvel shows and movies, I think this was way worse. I thought I liked Moon Knight. Was mildly entertained. And my friend Domingo made a point. He thought Moon Knight was the worst, but as you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it was not even close. So
yeah, but I mean, what did the professional critics know, and what does the average audience know? At the end of the day, we're the experts because we're neither professional critics or are we average audiences. And I got to say, your graphics work is so on point today. I am just absolutely blown away by it, my friend. This is pretty awesome.
And one more for you before we throw it to Paul, but this is a screenshot from Screen Rant. Marvel's 200 million Secret Invasion broke the MCU's lowest Rotten Tomatoes rating record. So,
which was held by what? The Eternals?
I think it was the Eternals. Yes.
Yeah. The Eternals was better than this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Now, Paul, now that you've had time to chew on that, is this the worst Marvel show in the MCU? Marvel show on Disney Plus? That was terrible.
Kind of. I mean, here's my thing is I enjoyed it more than Moon Knight, but I think Moon Knight was a better show. And I kind of disagree with Marcus because I feel like Marvel has always had like peaks and valleys. You know, within like the first bunch of stuff, you know, for every Captain America, you had an Ant-Man. So, you know, there were always things that were, you know, okay.
And great.
But that's, for me, this show was okay. It was it was kind of, I think the word I used with you, Raymond, was nothing burger. Like it was
Yeah.
more. It
Are
was
you happy with a nothing burger though? If you are a hungry
No.
person, a nothing burger, it contains
but-
no protein, no
Right.
calories, no nothing at all. Well, are you happy with it?
Have you seen
well,
the
if
shapes
I
of our
ordered an
bodies?
Impossible Burger, yes, but no. But I think part of the thing is that my expectations for Secret Invasion were way higher than they were for Moon Knight. So that's why I think it was also why it comes across bad. Also, I have to say, over the weekend, Star Trek showed the crossover episode with Lower Decks, which was absolutely fantastic. And this season of Strange New Worlds has been super, super good. And that also, I think, made me think less of Secret Invasion.
Ah.
And I think, and to be honest with you, like, I like the Secret Invasion storyline, and I was curious to see how they were going to do it. And if done well, it could have been fantastic.
Huh.
I think it could have even been a whatchamacallit? What do they call a phase unto itself, culminating in an Avengers movie.
It should have. That's
with these
the key.
guys.
And
it
there was
Right.
a conversation on
yeah.
There was a conversation on Twitter that was exactly this topic, my friend. And honestly, without the Avengers, without any heroes whatsoever other than Groot's fucking bell end or whatever the hell that was, I mean, it had a little bit of Groot, it had a little bit of the shit from Iron Man 3. The thing that helps you regenerate.
Extremis,
yes, Extremis is in there as well. You actually see
Is
that.
it?
Yes,
Huh.
you see them get red and regenerate some after being shot. That's
Ebony
Extremis.
Maw, Cull Obsidian.
Yeah, I mean they had lots of bits and bobs in there, but it had no weight because, all right, so who's the highest profile person who's a Skrull? James Rhodes. And I mean, Rhodey had such an arc in the Avengers movies where from, Captain America Civil War, he gets his back broken and, he becomes this new Secretary of Defense eventually. And everything he does throughout the Avengers as War Machine, to find out that he is a Skrull and has been a Skrull probably for a very long time.
Well, now hang on a second.
That's like the comics.
That's what the guy who worked on the TV show said. But until they say something like that in a movie or TV show, it's open because he's doing the Armor Wars movie, I think it's called.
That's right.
Yeah.
Like they could literally change that. They don't have to listen to that guy because they could literally say, "Oh no, actually, what happened is he had an emergency appendectomy like 3 weeks before Secret Invasion happened, and that's why he was in the hospital."
Well, honestly, in that case, they should tell that guy to shut the fuck up because it's basically just adding another level of shit to this shit nothing burger.
Right.
But anyway, I mean, the fact that we see, Rhodey is the highest profile person. Other than that, I mean, we've got Martin Freeman as Everett Ross at the beginning and at the end. And that's really it. I mean, we've got Talos. But I mean, there is nobody. If you are, a Skrull and you want to create new Skrullos and you want to colonize the planet, yes, you're going to try and get a bunch of stuff in, people into power. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that the British Prime Minister's a fucking Skrull. I honestly think that's actually real life. But not one superhero, really. They couldn't knock out fucking Daredevil or
what the hell's Daredevil gonna do against this?
I don't know, but I mean, seriously, I mean, it's like
it felt like a stopgap kind of thing.
It could have been so much more. It could have been an Avengers level event. Avengers against Avengers.
It should have been something more. I think that's the real problem. Is it should have been this momentous occasion, and really all it was is it seems like it's kind of setting up a couple little things that are going to pay off later. You know,
yeah.
Like
it was
it
set
doesn't
up.
have like it doesn't have it doesn't have anything that makes it feel worthy of a thing unto itself. In a weird way, it's like if you look at Star Wars and you look at Rogue One, like Rogue One is like kind of like, okay, yeah, cool, like this is like how these things happen. And they could have very easily handled all that stuff in a comic or a book, but they didn't. And they made a movie and they went full throttle with it and made it something kind of cool that stood on its own, even if it is just sort of answering a question and setting up A New Hope. And that's what this didn't do. Like maybe this will look better after we see the Marvels, after we see other things, and we'll go, oh, okay, I get it now.
I don't think it will, because it touches on what you said earlier, that this should have been a massive event. Like it was, for people that aren't familiar with the comics that was based on, Secret Invasion was a massive event that spanned, like a year and touched every comic book and that Marvel had. Now, for me, I thought it was too bloated and overwrought. And then, all of a sudden, like people have been Skrulls for like 20, 30 years. And it just got used as an excuse. Oh, he was being bad because Skrull,
Right.
It just became a bad excuse for bad writing.
Yeah.
Now, this will probably be a pretty short section, but what did you like about the show? Marcus, you mentioned Olivia Colman. Was that all?
Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
I mean,
look, fantastic.
There was so many great actresses and actors in the show. And it's not that they didn't give their all. Nobody phoned it in. Everybody was trying their best, but the story made it was not gripping. It was not interesting. It tried to be like a spy thriller, a twist on Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but it just fell flat in every single
But let's what did you like?
So that's what I'm saying. Even though there was this star-studded cast, Olivia Colman stood out above and beyond. And apart from that, I mean, the locations look pretty.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, there were some cool set pieces. I think you're underrating Charlene Woodard. I thought she did a great job.
I didn't say that there were some great set pieces. I said the locations look pretty. I'm not even going to go far enough to say that the set pieces look very good, to be honest.
Okay, but again, the point is, I think you're being dismissive of Charlene Woodard. I think she did.
I'm not being dismissive of somebody when I don't even know who she is. Who is Charlene Woodard?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
Which character?
She was Nick's wife.
Okay, again, she was. The entire cast was perfectly. It's a very talented cast across the board, and they have great work in them. I'm not dismissing the cast.
I'm not talking about her talent. I'm talking about her performance. I thought she had a great performance.
Okay, well, you thought she had a great performance. I'm not dismissing her. I'm just saying Olivia Colman, for me, was head and shoulders above everybody else, and really the standout
That's
thing.
not what I asked you. That okay.
Well, no, you asked me what did I like
about it. What did you
it?
like? And you
I
said
said Olivia Colman. I didn't say that this other lady was a bag of stank by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't denigrate her performance in any way. You got to listen, Ray. I mean, just because it doesn't fit your narrative doesn't mean it's fucking right. Or wrong. So I liked Olivia Colman.
So Ray, Marcus didn't like her.
What did you like, my friend?
I just told you I liked Olivia. I thought Charlene Woodard was good. I thought how they used Super Skrull, considering they don't have Fantastic Four, I thought that was clever that they used other characters instead of the Fantastic Four's powers. And that's mostly it. I thought episodes 4 and 5 were a little bit better than the others, but as a whole, it just wasn't good. Now, Paul, what did you like about the show?
I really
please say Charlene Woodard, mate. Please say it. You have to.
I did like her, but I didn't know who she was. But I was going to say I liked.
Getting back to who she was. I mean, she has a really long list of credits.
Oh yeah. I just don't even know her name.
A lot of people know her from Fresh Prince. She was like aunt. I forgot what her name was, but she was Will Smith's character's aunt on Fresh Prince.
Wait, she was on Viv?
No, a different one.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, she didn't look like, I don't remember.
No, she was not on Viv, either of them.
Is this the new Fresh Prince?
No.
Or the old Fresh Prince?
This is the old one.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, there were different scenes that I really liked. Like, I liked the scene in the last episode in the hospital, like when people were getting taken out and you didn't really know what was going on. I liked the scene with Rhodey and Nick Fury where they were like in an empty restaurant, kind of squaring off. It kind of reminded me a little bit of the scene in Heat when De Niro and Pacino were sitting down talking. And
but a not as good version of that excellent scene.
Not
in Heat.
as good,
Yeah.
but still really good. There were different things here and there that, you know, I thought it was cool to see sort of Nick's home life and things like that. And Olivia Coleman was really good, especially at the end when she kind of came in and when she was sort of threatening that one guy. Like, I thought that was really cool.
He was badass. Yeah. I like the scene with Priscilla and Khaleesi when they had the scene at the house. I thought that was a really good scene.
Yeah. That was a good one too. When, you know, before it got shot, the house got all shot up and stuff.
Yeah.
I also liked at the very, very end when after it was revealed that the Skrulls were on Earth and they were like, "Oh, we know how to find them," and they showed people like killing, like military people killing Skrulls. I liked that they threw in that there were idiots who were running around like shooting people because they thought they were Skrulls, because that's so that's exactly what would happen if this happened now. Like, you would see people like shooting at Tom Hanks and shooting at Hillary Clinton and shooting.
We've already seen that, where we've seen people attacking politicians or whatever because of this Pizzagate thing.
Right. Right. Well, exactly.
So I mean, people are stupid, and let's face it. Stupid people have access to guns, and that's just not.
I thought it was more like how it was in the Philippines, where you literally had the president Duterte saying, "If people look like drug dealers to you, shoot them," and that's what happened. So that's what
did
the
he
president
really say that?
Yeah,
wow.
he literally said that.
Did anybody do it?
Yes, people died that were not drug dealers, innocent people, because that's why I was scared to go back. I don't know what the fuck the drug dealers in the Philippines look like. They could shoot me.
Wow.
But yeah, and the president from who married my best friend's wedding, that was the dude, right?
Yeah, Dermot Mulroney.
Mulroney, yes.
Yeah. Not Dylan McDermott.
No, that's a different rom-com.
I know. It was very tricky. And, you know, if you were watching movies in the mid-90s, it was a very tricky time because those two actors were in everything before Matthew McConaughey appeared.
And one of them is also Patrick Dempsey. That's another name he uses. They're all interchangeable.
They're all Skrulls.
Yeah. Aha. That actually makes sense.
Dun, dun, dun.
Indeed.
Now, we all don't like this show, but where did it go wrong? Was it the writing, the directing?
I think it was on a hiding to nothing. I mean, the expectations, because again, everybody looked at the cast, everybody looked at it in comparison to the other movies the other shows that have hit recently. It looked a little darker. It's a Nick Fury storyline. It's a storyline that is very controversial within the MCU, the Marvel universe, not the MCU, but the Marvel universe with the comic books. Some people like it, some people hate it, some people are like meh. So I think that it had this curiosity / expectation out of the gate, and for this to work, it's got to be almost. You look at something like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which is the classic John le Carre movie book that became a movie, but also became a TV series by the BBC back in the 80s. And that was all about who's the Russian traitors, who are the good guys, twists, turns, etc., etc. And that's how this should have been tackled. But there was no real intrigue. There was no real, oh, look, you can tell that one's a fucking Skrull. Why? Because they're doing Skrully shit. Right. And I think it's a hard task to execute. Really is hard to get that level of intrigue and keep people going guessing and until the end of the episode. And I think that was their biggest issue. I mean, they had, like I said, they had the cast, they had the budget, they had the location. This should have been something where we turned and said, wow, that could have been a 2-part Marvel movie, and I would have been so blown away by it. But instead it felt like I hate to say this, but it felt like a Sci-Fi Channel original. I'm not talking about the special effects, I'm not talking about the cast,
right?
I am talking about the storytelling. And that's where that's where the cast are up against it. The cast was excellent across the board. Every one of those actors and actresses are absolutely superb at what they do. You've seen them in lots of other things, whether it be a bunch of things over the years, or relatively new. They all came to try and deliver their A game, but it's like a chef dealing with the shittiest ingredients that have gone really putrid and trying to turn it into a meal. It really sucks. And I hate criticizing the writers, because the writers have such a hard job. And I think this might go and turn, either they could have got a proper spy, a writer who's got a background in like spy and intrigue stuff, or this might have been just the unfilmable, the unmakeable, the show that they should have perhaps left to one side, because it's done nothing but damage.
It's interesting that you brought up the Tinker Tailor and the whole spy aspect of it, because that was the justification for the few friends I had that liked it. They're like, oh, I like that it was like a spy movie kind of feel. And I'm like, well, just go watch a good spy movie.
Had they watched a good spy movie?
Well, they wanted like a Marvel spy movie, and this is...
You want a Marvel spy movie? Captain America Winter Soldier.
I was about to say that.
Quintessential. I mean, that is the ultimate. I mean, that felt like something from the 70s, with regards to the levels of intrigue and everything. Not obviously including Robert Redford, but I mean, there was so much in that movie that it just felt like a real throwback and something so different from the Marvel Universe. But this didn't even attempt to be that.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, for me, it was just the writing was just not good. And I couldn't get past the initial conceit, as Paul mentioned, that you have this world-threatening situation. So let's handle it with humans, even though we have access to thunder gods and super soldiers and geniuses and a gamma irradiated genius. But no, we'll send these humans after them. It just made no sense. So anything after that made less sense.
I mean, how cool would... Go on, Paul.
Because to me, it goes before the writing. It's just sort of the objective of it.
Yeah.
Like, what was they kind of said, what is the purpose of this show? And like I said, we may find out later that it has a purpose, but right now it doesn't seem like it serves much of a purpose, except to be this sort of interim story. And once they kind of set out with that, I don't think anything I don't think having like better writers or better directors would have helped at all.
You're probably right. Like the initial premise is not good.
Yeah,
so, the initial premise could have been good, though. Could you imagine having them crack? They had the purse strings loose. So why didn't they hire our favorite green gamma irradiated scientist to be a part of this from the get-go? And could you imagine the final battle between the Super Skrull and the Hulk? That to me would have
happened in the comics. That happened in the comics.
To me would have been absolutely baller. Yeah, Hulk smashed the shit out of him.
Or She-Hulk, which would have made the ending also very funny, because one of the criticisms people levied against that final battle was that it was literally what they were talking about at the end of the She-Hulk show. Like they made fun of it before it actually happened. So it would have been funny if they had brought She-Hulk into this and she was the one who got into the fight with the Super Skrull.
Well, they should have just put Deadpool in there. That would have been Deadpool and Wolverine. There you go.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about one other thing?
Sure.
Maria Hill and Talos.
Okay.
What a way to waste these characters. Give them nasty, useless fucking endings. I mean, Talos, one of the most interesting characters in the MCU. I mean, he came out of, he was great in
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, and we saw bits and bobs of him over the years. I was so looking forward to seeing him in the Marvels. So I would have thought he'd have been up there, in the
that would have made sense. Yeah,
the Saber space station, or the Sword space station. Sorry. So to see him offed like that with just a freaking one stabby side of a racing track that was supposed to be the M4. No, that was obviously like fucking a test circuit somewhere in Germany. And then Maria Hill. I mean, talk about an underused character in the MCU and a fine actress to boot in Kobe Smulders. She's had some really, good bits and bobs over the years, but she's been fed scraps, and to get shot by a Skrull. I mean, it didn't even. It's supposed to carry some weight. It's like, oh, look at us, we're super serious. We killed Maria Hill right at the end of the first episode. And it was like, no, that doesn't give you weight at all. In fact, I'm fucking furious at you and for the rest of the show because of what you've just done. Because you just gave her a totally senseless bullshit ending before she really had a chance to play anything in the show. She could have been a really great part of this series and provided a little bit of variety. But no, those two deaths really pissed me off. I shame, I say. I would ring a bell, make them walk naked down the street, the writers, and so shame. That's what I would say to them.
And you just did. So yes, point taken. Now, as you guys have mentioned, this was a pretty stacked cast. Now, which actors do you think were wasted the most? Paul, kick this one off.
Oh, and of course, right way as you say that, her name goes out of my head. The Khaleesi.
Yes, that's her name, Khaleesi.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Kira.
I hate to say that. She'll always be known as that for me. Yeah, I really like her, and she was great in Game of Thrones. I thought she was really great in the Terminator movie. That wasn't great.
Solo, the Han Solo origin movie.
Yeah, thank you. That's great in that. She was great in Han Solo, and I wonder if they're going to bring her back for the supposedly they're doing a Lando show now. Right. She wasn't. She didn't get again. She wasn't given like a lot to do, enough to do.
Agreed.
And it was like, okay, your dad is dead, and you're like, oh, okay.
Now, question for you: the show at the end wanted to establish that with all the Skrully science injection things, that she is now one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. Did you get that sense, or was that? I don't think they did a good job of conveying that, but that's what I read after. Is that's what they were trying to go for?
They that was a time when I thought the special effects could have been a little bit better, because there were times when like she would turn into somebody, and I was like, wait, is that supposed to be the Hulk? Is that the Abomination? Like who? What? Huh? Like some of it obviously like Captain Marvel, like you could tell, but they never kind of established like, okay, now I'm the Hulk. And I think part of the problem with that is they only had her do it with one arm.
Right.
As weird as that sounds, like if they had her Hulk out with both arms or Hulk out completely.
Really, with both arms? You wanted her?
Yeah. She'd have. I know. But if she had hulked out completely, well, then of course she would have looked like She-Hulk. Okay, but still, if she had gone full with whatever character it was that she was trying to be, it would have looked cooler, and it would have made more sense. And then I would have been like, oh crap! So she's Captain Marvel and the Hulk and Spider-Man, or I don't even know who else was in there. That's the thing. I don't know who she was. I mean, I know she was part Captain Marvel, and either Hulk or Abomination, but no, it can't be Abomination because he wasn't there at the fight. So.
No, it was a mix. Apparently, it was a mix of everybody who spilt some sort of DNA who were misses at the Avengers compound at the end of Endgame, where the big battle was, because the Skrulls were the ones who were sent in there to go with the blue light and the little Windex bottle and the little tissue here. There you go. Oh, Hulk's been at this one. It's a blanket.
They got some crusty tissues that they collected.
Exactly. Let's figure out that DNA.
Now that was, again, that's an interesting idea, that the U.S. government would go to that site and be like, "Oh, look, there's some blood of these heroes. Let's get that." But then again, they didn't. Maybe it'll pay off. But in the context of this show, it was like kind of like, "Oh yeah, we found Cap's blood and Bucky's blood, and
we stored it in this mystical vial that I'm gonna
put in. And it's all of it is in one vial. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway.
Science.
I think they wasted it by giving it to Emilia Clarke, who, again, all she had to do, again, this just goes to show, excellent actress, but it's like, petulant woman, teenager, petulant woman, whatever she is, doesn't like her dad, but she's deep undercover, and she's got all these powers that she started to get from different times. It would have been great, perhaps, if Talos had lived to the end, and it was Talos who became the Super Skrull, and they killed each other. And then you draw a line, because Talos' sacrifice would have actually meant something.
Would you have wanted Talos to die when he did, and then be revealed that in that last episode that he was actually alive all along?
No, I would not have had Talos die when he died. Okay. I would have had him come along. I mean, look, we could have killed off the Emilia Clarke character or any other Skrull character, and it would have come down to the old guard and the new guard, both Super Skrulls, kicking the crap out of each other until Talos basically does something to kill them both and sacrifices himself, and that would have given weight to Talos' storyline, in my opinion.
I wasn't sure where you were going with it. That's why I asked. Okay.
Hey, at least Mrs. Talos didn't even get an on-screen death. They just wrote her off in text.
It
was terrible. She was in 2 movies. They didn't even give her the glory of an on-screen battle, or at least, or
that's a lot of the problem, is that it just seemed so. I mean, it's only a 6-episode series, and there's nothing wrong with that, because some of these Marvel shows have been a little bloated. And I've always had this criticism that 6 is a good number, 8 to 12 can get a little bit iffy. But it just seemed like in a rush to 86 stuff, and also while going nowhere. I mean, it was literally, here's Nick Fury, and look, he's he's sitting down with Rhodey, and Rhodey is now a Skrull. And that scene that you were talking about with Rhodey, I actually thought that was two excellent actors dealing with a really shitty back and forth. I thought it was just miserable. It was stereotypical. I mean, the whole, don't let it's like, why are you doing this to a brother type thing. I mean, it just didn't sit right. It really just didn't sit right to to watch that and see it. And the president of the United States, absolute bell end. I mean, all right, so this version of Rhodey's gone, and now we got Thunderbolt Ross coming in. Why couldn't we have had Harrison Ford in as Thunderbolt Ross a little bit early before the Thunderbolts movie? There's just so many things that you think could have been done a lot better, especially if they're supposed to set up this next section of Marvels or whatever. I mean, it feels pointless.
Well, the other thing that I thought of was Ms. Marvel, in a sense, is similar in that all it really did is it introduced a character that they had to introduce before the Marvels. That was it. But what the writers did is they did something really cool with it that made it a lot more interesting. And, again, that's not what they did in Secret Invasion. They kind of just were like, oh, all right, we got to do this thing, so let's just do it.
I would argue that Ms. Marvel had better source material that was more suited for a miniseries than Secret Invasion, which is, like we said before,
Right.
a massive event that.
Yeah. But again, if you think about it, well, what was Ms. Marvel? Well, it introduced the Ms. Marvel character. Like it didn't have like an impact on the grand scheme of things. Like a lot of the stuff in there is not going to come up again. Like all the stuff about India and Pakistan. And what I thought was kind of cool is that they said, okay, we have to introduce Ms. Marvel. We know her story. Oh, I know what we're going to do. Let's bring in all this stuff about her history, about Pakistan and India, and about the split there. And they ended up with I don't know if you guys ever watched the Watchmen TV show.
Yeah, of course.
It reminded me a lot of that, where you had this basically they were like, we're going to explore what happened in the Tulsa riots in the context of the Watchmen and these other characters. And I thought
a little bit different in the amount of cursing in either show.
That's true. That's true. Aman Vellani has not dropped a good F-bomb yet.
I think I see your point, and I totally agree with you. And I think the big difference that for both Watchmen and for Miss Marvel, you do have creative you have the creative forces behind the TV shows, the showrunners who are immersed in the culture of their particular lead characters. And they were telling these Indian stories, Indian Pakistani stories, and they was telling these Black African American stories. So with regards to Tulsa and everything that happened there. I wasn't even aware of Tulsa till I watched that show for the first time, along with a lot of people apparently, because that's all people were talking about the next day. So that's where Marvel gets kudos for putting the right people in charge. And then this time, and it goes back to, if you're going to do this sort of thing, you get a writer or writers and a showrunner who can handle multi-strands, intrigue, spy stuff, and that's when you start to pull everything together, and that's when it all looks like it's work. It would work. It just didn't have the creative capabilities to carry it off.
Yeah, which is weird because, like I said, they did it with Ms. Marvel, and now that I think about it, they also did it with the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. Which nothing that happens in that is relevant to the story, the larger story, not really even relevant to the third movie. But they still made it really, really fun. And it was funny and it was entertaining, And
it did actually set up the movie in a couple of ways with regards to the base that they set up.
Oh, right.
We got to see the base a little bit more. But again, that was just a tiny throwaway.
That's just a little thing, right? Yeah.
But it was great and it worked. I mean, I'm saying, I agree with you that, the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special was something batshit silly, best watched while drunk, by the way, which is how I watch. But again, it goes to show that, if people know the source material or people are working within James Gunn's world, then you're going to deliver something that fits right in. And I have seen better spy stuff on BBC Two back in the UK in the 80s and in the 90s. And that is the problem. It didn't, I'm sure you get it on Masterpiece Theatre here or whatever. You can find it on BritBox. Whole bunch of like spy thrillers. I mean, hell, The Fourth Protocol, the movie with Pierce Brosnan and Michael Caine from the mid 80s. That's another sort of like spy, Russian, what's going on, nuclear explosions. And it was well handled compared to this. It had the only intrigue was, how the fuck did this get approved?
Well, I think this might have been the last of a bunch of projects that were greenlit before Disney decided that they were just making too much content. So hopefully they've kind of done a soft reset and are limiting the amount of series and movies they're doing. And hopefully they're being honest about it and the quality will go up.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll not be using AI for their scripts. But
that does bring us to our next point, that a lot of people started to sour on Marvel in Phase 4. And this was the first TV show of Phase 5. And here is what is coming next. We have Loki coming in October, which I'm super psyched for. But then the next three I'm kind of worried about. I'm interested in, but we have Echo, Ironheart, and Agatha. And for whatever reason, the female led Marvel TV series have not been as well received. And I think a lot of that has been unfair. I think a lot of people didn't like Ms. Marvel and She Hulk because they were women.
I like them. I like them both. I will say Echo is going to be interesting because Echo, they're dropping the entire series in one go, which they've not done with any Marvel show before. That's a huge first, and that's another thing people are saying. Marvel has a female-led problem because we never got a Black Widow movie until it was too late. Captain Marvel, came along. Too late, and there wasn't enough support for female-led writers and directors, etc. And I think they do have they do seem to have this problem. And as good as Miss Marvel was, and hopefully Nia DaCosta, the Marvels is going to be absolutely banging in November this year or early 2024, as is now being mooted because of the current strike. They're talking about nobody being able to promote it, which would suck. But again, we stand with the writers, we stand with the actors. Residuals for all. So it's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy that they've got this. I mean, Agatha, House of Harkness. That to me sounds like a one-off horror comedy that could be dropped on Halloween next year. I don't think it's a full series because Agatha was a fun character in WandaVision. Yeah,
great scene stealer. Great scene stealer, but
I don't get the sense that that's going to be like a pivotal show. Like I feel like they're kind of doing that in the same way that they did that sort of horror movie with Man-Thing. That it's just going to be like I don't know how many episodes they've said Agatha is going to be, but like I feel like it's just going to be this sort of like off to the side like weirdness with her, that won't be pivotal, but unlike Secret Invasion, it'll be entertaining unto itself.
Yeah, if it's like I said, if it's a one-off that sits in the same universe as Werewolf by Night, great.
That's what it was. Werewolf by Night.
Let's see if it says on the graphic there. It says 9 episodes. Wow,
9 episodes. Okay, well, let's
see. I did not know that's a lot for that character. I don't know about that.
Well, maybe I don't know. I mean, we don't know what the premise is, and every time they talk about it, they talk about somebody new and cool getting like cast in it. So
we'll see. I mean, look, we may be doing it in disservice, and it may come out and be absolutely baller.
Yeah.
I mean, the other one that's interesting there is Ironheart, which is Riri Williams, and Riri Williams. I think we were a little bit divided, you and I, Ray, over Riri Williams in Wakanda Forever. In that, while I'm not criticizing the actress's performance, I thought she was great. She felt more like a MacGuffin.
She was.
Red button.
I didn't see that until you mentioned it, but that's a great point.
But and so I am wondering what we're going to get with Riri Williams. Are we going to get something that's actually really cool, interesting, and helmed by a Black creative team who are going to be able to talk about this stuff and the real issues? Because let's face it, young black women in STEM get shat on and have been for decades. So that's going to be interesting on how that works, especially without the safety net of Wakanda behind it. Or is this going to be some middle-aged white dude's version of what Riri Williams should be as the next Tony Stark? So that one is, I'm hoping for the best but prepared for the worst. But I mean, the fact that we've got three really interesting characters back to back to back. I mean, Echo, she was a great part of the Hawkeye show. And it's going off to somewhere like Akron, Ohio, or something. That's where she's from. That's going to be interesting in itself. So, yeah, I'm hoping for the best with those three. I am unfortunately, my Marvel stuff is just.
You have Marvel overload, as do a lot of people. And
I have Marvel food poisoning. I went to the all-you-can-eat buffet and had a little too much of the Marvel, and thankfully, Guardians of the Galaxy managed to act like Alka-Seltzer for a
Right.
lot of stuff and got rid of that gas, but Secret Invasion didn't really help.
Now, with how Secret Invasion kicked off Phase 5 TV and seeing what's on the slate, do you think that the MCU will reach the heights of Infinity War, or was that the peak, never to be seen again, or will Marvel turn it around but never approach those heights?
There was something I was worried that we'd never see those heights again, especially with Secret Wars and Kang Dynasty, because the writer of Ant-Man and the Wasp was the writer of those movies, and then they fired him.
Oh, I did not.
So, yes, he's no longer writing those movies. And again, I'm sure he's a very talented writer, but he just seemed a little bit out of his depth. I mean, there's so much writing on Loki where we know we've got Jonathan Majors back in there, but Jonathan Majors hasn't filmed anything else for any other movies. He's been sidelined. Are we going to see him recast? There's so much hinging on what happens to him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Secret Wars needs to be retooled. Maybe Kang Dynasty needs to be just maybe it was literally at the end of Loki. It says, and Kang went to a farm upstate where he got to play with all his other Kangs. The end. Because right
Kang
now
was a Skrull.
Poochie, I have to go back to my planet. They need me. Poochie got killed with his planet.
Exactly. And that's not because Jonathan Majors isn't a great actor, but
He's
unfortunately,
but he did shitty things.
He has done some shitty things.
Allegedly, I don't know.
According to a lot of people.
Well, somebody said that they think that there's a way that they can replace him with the guy who played the high evolutionary. Yeah,
Chuck Woody or Wooji.
Yeah. They could basically be like, oh, he's another Kang, really. But
there's a full-on fan theory doing the rounds on Reddit that he could actually be that character, which would be interesting. Because I mean, we're talking about another really excellent actor.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Kang. I mean, I've never liked Kang in the books either. I mean, he has all the charisma of a freaking crusty toilet seat. I mean, and look, Majors again imbued the character with charisma, but it just there was that final scene at the end of Quantumania where we had 36 Jonathan Majors acting like it was the Galactic Senate scene in Attack of the Clones, or whichever one of those interminable Star Wars prequels, and everybody was like rabble, rabble, rabble.
The Hamburglar was there.
The Hamburglar was there apparently. Yes,
he was in the booth with E.T.
That's right.
Exactly. It just felt like that. It just felt out of place, and it doesn't imbue me with any sort of like excitement for those two particular movies. And that's why I think I'm also looking forward to the Marvels a lot, because I don't think it touches on Kang or his dynasty or the Divergence. Right. And hopefully maybe Loki was retooled at the last minute. Excuse me. Thank you. To say, all right, we got rid of Loki went stabby, and Kang's gone.
I don't know. I mean, Hollywood is very forgiving. You see Ezra Miller. He seems fine now.
Oh no, Ezra Miller's done after the performance of the box office boys.
Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller is off on the sidelines with Armie Hammer and Kevin Spacey.
The only way Ezra Miller could have actually made back was if the Flash had been a box office bonanza, as opposed to being beaten by some Calvisiel weird QAnon bullshit movie.
I don't even think if Flash had done really well that people would have accepted him again. I mean, I think that Hollywood just would have been like, you know what? We were just keeping him around until the Flash came
Well, I'm
out.
saying
It's
that
done
was
and-
the only way he could have.
Oh no,
hoped
I
for
don't
some
even
redemption.
think. I don't think that would have had like.
That's what I said.
Flash would have had to make like Avatar money. Like
Yeah,
it would have
I
to.
mean,
make, like,
absolutely. It should have.
you know.
It had it been this critical darling and this huge thing that I mean, it's ironic, really, because it's a deserved and appropriate nail in the Snyderverse coffin. It just, yeah.
Well, I'm just happy to be done with that part of DC.
Yeah.
Okay, we have gone almost an hour talking about Secret Invasion. As I mentioned in the intro, we were saving Q&A for the end of the video. If you want to ask us anything, we'll go through your comments that you've been posting since the start. If you have any new questions, please drop them by. Carlos says, does this still count as a TV show even though it's on streaming sub? I don't know. I'm watching
Yes, you watch it on the TV.
Or the phone, or the tablet, or the
Screen.
computer, or the Google Glass. Yes, yes, it does count as a TV show because you do watch it on the TV. But I mean, this does bring up the issue in Hollywood right now with regards to streaming and residuals for and the actors who are getting absolutely screwed by streaming. Everything's moved on except the studios. So.
Nate said he thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was the worst. I will go second worst on that.
I will go for actually Falcon and the Winter Soldier was a better spy type movie TV show than Secret Invasion. But no, I mean my second worst of this current MCU iteration for me is still Moon Knight.
Carlos also liked the interrogation scene in the meat cooler.
Yeah.
Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
Olivia Colman. I mean, she's just so chatty and natural and matter of fact. And I'm going to top your dick off now, and I'm going to shove it in your ear, and then I'm going to turn your balls into a pair of ping pong balls, and I'm going to bat them around. And I mean, it's just this way she has with her delivery, which makes her such a badass. I mean, I would love to see her the new M in the James Bond movies because
that'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. That would be good.
So great.
How old is she? Does she have enough time to do like 3 or 4 of them?
Yeah, she's probably about early, maybe mid 40s. I mean, Dame Judi Dench did them for. She went through Brosnan. There was 4 Brosnans and 5 and 4 Daniel Craigs.
She is 49.
Okay, so she could do
time.
at least three or 4.
I'd love to see that. Kane Waters says, I think WandaVision was the only one I've loved. I think it's one of the best. I mean, for me, it's a toss-up. It just depends on what you like more. For me, Ms. Marvel is tops, but I can totally see people liking WandaVision or Loki more. So
I agree with all of those, but I also liked Hawkeye.
Yeah,
I really do. Simply because
you're a Christmas guy, though.
So. I'm a Christmas guy, but I mean, Steve Rogers the musical or Avengers the musical. That was just amazing. But I think it brought back Kingpin. It brought back, it brought Echo into it. It really was. It's not a show about superpowered people or shapeshifters or anything like that. It's just people who can really fucking see good.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it works on that level of stakes, not like a earth-shattering thing like Secret Invasion. So for Hawkeye, that situation was appropriate for people that were just humans with tremendous skills.
Yeah.
So interesting.
And What If was really good.
Yes.
What if?
I don't count that for some reason mentally because it's animated, but I
rewatched it recently, and it's better on the second watch because you know what's coming. I mean, it just left so much up at the end of every episode. It got a little frustrating, but then it did come together. But there was no inclination that it was going to come together. It was all this what if, and then you watch it all the way through, and you get that final Mega Ultron that was actually quite cool.
So Nate said, it's not something I would watch again, but I try as hard as it may be to not contrast it with the rest of the MCU. Yeah, you should judge things on its own, but it's hard not to compare it. Learning to go into phase 4 thinking, what if this was the first movie of the MCU? How would I respond then? Yes, but this is also phase 5.
Yeah, if it was the first movie or first TV show in the MCU, I mean, all we would have had before that is a couple of Captain Americas, some shitty Fantastic Fours, the trial of the Incredible Hulk, the death of the Incredible Hulk with Bill Bixby, the Spider-Man.
Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I mean, there's I mean, we're obviously, we're feasting. It's just unfortunate that the quality of the food has died down somewhat.
Do you remember the Daredevil costume from that Hulk series where he basically just had no eye holes? It was just like a blindfold.
I have a question for you guys. When I look at the Marvel stuff, I don't think of it as phase 4, phase 5. To me, everything from Iron Man through Endgame is one phase, and all of this is a second phase. Like, it always seems weird to me that they talk in like terms of like phase 2 and phase 3, because all that early stuff was all leading up to Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, it was 10 years.
And all of this is leading up to, King's revenge and whatnot.
Who knows what it's leading up to?
Or whatever it ends up leading
Yeah, exactly.
I do
Galactus dance party.
I do not follow their phases. Same as, like, for me, comics are comics. I read the series that I like.
Right.
Just how I watch all the Marvel movies and TV shows that I like. And it's all comics. So it's all Marvel stuff to me.
Yeah. The phase thing is really, it's a kind of obnoxious now because it's right up there with the multiverse.
I mean, I understand why it's useful for them in the writer's room
to
plan out these things, but I don't know if they need to let us know what these things are.
Right, because also, like, if you think about it, it even gets even more nebulous because the Spider-Man movie, the second one, was the aftermath of all the Endgame stuff. But then again, so was WandaVision, really. But then WandaVision also led up to Doctor Strange and the H.P. Lovecraft reference. So
I remember when South Park did it with the with Coon and Friends and all their different spin-offs and stuff like that. That was excellently put. I mean, they basically called it that it's like, all right, the time of the phases is over. We need to just fucking go.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to say somebody did. Yes, I mean Carlos is right, but I just want to go back to somebody. There you go. Nate Fitzgerald's comment. Asking for my AI appliance. Would anybody like any toast? Does anybody else get that reference apart from me?
Yes. What time was that comment so I can put it up?
That was at 6:58.
Okay. That's way down here.
Now, who gets that? Who gets that reference?
Yes.
You do?
Well, explain it, and then I will scroll back up so I can go in order. So
okay, sorry. No, I just wanted to say that was a fun reference for me because that is from Red Dwarf. That is from Red Dwarf. Toki Toaster, trademark applied for $19.99 on sale. And that's all it does is offer you baked goods, whether it be toast, muffins, crumpets, scones, and yes, that's the only AI appliance I could do with a Toki Toaster. That ends up saving the Red Dwarf ship because it becomes exponentially more intelligent. But anyway, that's a non sequitur and a tangent.
It's funny because I was thinking, I was like, that sounds Douglas Adams-ish, but I don't remember that. And then it makes sense that it would be Red Dwarf because Red Dwarf is sort of,
it's very Douglas Adams inspired. So yes, Carlos is right. Samuel L. Jackson was wasted, and Ben Mendelsohn and Kobe Smulders, and again, these.
I will miss Ben Mendelsohn. I enjoyed that character for the 2 movies and a series that he was in.
Yeah, he was great as Krennic in Rogue One. He was in that that HBO series the supernatural spooky one a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic. That he was actually brilliant in that. It was about the shape-changing monstery type thing. That was very cool. I can't remember what it's called. That's how cool it was.
We're not talking Lovecraft Country.
No, not Lovecraft Country.
I mean, he was in Ready Player One, but
let's see. He was. It was The Outsider, 2020.
oh,
If you have HBO or Max, as it's called nowadays, you should definitely watch it because it's a really good series.
So I'm putting this one in kind of to make a point where we talked about Bilbo and Rhodey being replaced by Skrulls for a very long time. And people had pointed out scenes where those characters have bled and the blood was red and not Skrull purple. So
yeah,
whatever that means.
It means that
they didn't really think it through.
It's called a continuity error.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then we got some hashtags going. Couldn't afford Mrs. Talos. How unfortunate for her. And yes, I think Marcus was talking.
No, I wasn't talking about the Saint.
Saint.
Good God, the Saint movie was atrocious. I think you're talking about the.
Is that the Val Kilmer?
The Val Kilmer.
Oh,
yeah, that movie was horrible. Yeah. The books are actually better. The books by Leslie Charteris are actually, a great time capsule. And then there was two iterations. One was Roger Moore, and the other one was Ian Ogilvy in the late 70s, early 80s. And again, they were kind of smooth and suave, but they weren't spy intriguey type things. I mean, Smiley's People, which was the follow up to Tinker Tailor. There's been a slew of them that you find on BritBox that are haven't aged very well, but still do this espionage thing very, very well. This all Reds Under the Bed, The Communist Menace, and the Profumo Scandal, which was about being blackmailed because a politician was a homosexual, and obviously that was wrong in the UK for such a long time. Fucking backwards animals.
That's why I don't understand the people that liked Secret Invasion because of the spy aspect. I mean, there are better spy things to watch. I mean,
well, in the MCU, we've already said what.
Civil War. Yeah. Carlos has one about Agatha. I feel that Agatha, Coven of Chaos, will probably be about Agatha trying to control chaos magic, but she ends up bringing back Wanda. That's very plausible.
We'll see. I mean, as long as it doesn't end up like Hocus Pocus 2.
More hashtags. Kang died with Mrs. Talos.
That's what. Yeah, that's what it is. He eloped with Mrs. Talos. They didn't die. They went off to a farm upstate.
Her name is Judy.
Judy Talos.
Recognize
Judy Talos. Now, this one, I know, Marcus, you were a big fan of Tulsa King. So Tulsa King Series 2 had more intrigue. I did not watch Series 2, but
well, Series 2 should be good. I mean, the first one was very enjoyable. Actually, I was on the Paramount lot a couple of weeks ago, and I walked past the writers' room, the now empty writers' room and production room for Tulsa King. So,
we have one for Paul. Paul, which Jonas brother do you love the most? I only know one. What are the other ones?
Colin Jonas.
I was going to say Chuck, the unknown Jonas brother.
The missing.
That's like saying which Hemsworth do you like.
I don't.
It's like, there's
Thor and the other one. Like, wait, isn't there a third one too?
There's three. There's three that are in the band, and I think there's like a fourth at home that like
the stay-at-home Jonas.
He's like a tax accountant or something.
Yeah. Frank Jonas. Yeah.
So is that one your favorite? So Kane Water says Ant-Man 1 and 2 movies were fun. Marcus and I both agreed. Paul did not like them as much as
they were okay.
They had a lot more heart than the third one. They
had Paul Rudd.
They had Paul Rudd.
They had Luis. Luis was awesome. You did not like Luis, Paul.
I was not a big fan of Luis, although I did like Ant-Man's kid. I think, in fact, it's funny because that movie was just on TV right before we came on. And I always loved the scene in the first one where the little kid is talking to Barbie Carnival, who's a cop, and she's like sitting there eating cereal, and she's like, "Are you gonna go and try and find my dad?" And he's like, "Yes, sweetie, that's what I'm gonna do." And she's like, "I hope you fail," or something like that. Something so
But
like
again, the kid in Ant-Man
Yeah.
wasn't actually annoying, so and that's
no.
an achievement in itself. Obviously, the third Hemsworth brother actually appeared in Westworld.
Uh-huh.
He was in Westworld.
Didn't he also play Thor in the play?
That's right.
He
You're
did.
right.
He did
With
indeed.
Matt Damon?
And Matt Damon was Loki. Yeah.
And the guy from Jurassic Park,
Sam Neill was
Neill.
was Odin. Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're right.
Yeah.
to reiterate, the good one is Thor. The one in the middle is Hunger Games. Is he in that? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
that's
he's the one
who
who
was engaged
married
to Miley
Miley.
Cyrus.
And
That's
Who's
right.
now taking over as the Witcher.
yeah.
Miley Cyrus? That makes no sense.
Miley Hemsworth is the Witcher.
Oh wow. So that the Liam. That's is
Liam,
that
that's
him?
it.
Liam.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gonna
Liam
be.
Hemsworth is taking over as Geralt of Riva.
Is there an explanation in the
Review.
show? I didn't watch season 3. I don't.
I don't watch the show, so
Well, if you are watching the show, please leave a
he's
comment.
a Skrull.
That's right. Superman was a Skrull the whole time. Nate says, I feel Endgame will play a part in the future, so it's all leading to more, hence the phases. Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't understand that comment.
Hashtag nailed it. I don't remember what the context.
But we were probably right.
Travis Mitchell says, hope you're all well.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I hope you're well too, Travis.
Yeah. Apparently Paul doesn't. That's so rude. What the hell, man? DC just needs Joker. Oh, Marcus, like that one.
Yeah.
No, it needs It needs Joker. It needs Joker in the Batman movie. The Batman too. The Twilight guy one.
Right.
But it doesn't need this Folie à Deux thing. Is just terrifying. And it just looks like a bucket of wankery. And I really just I'm trying to ignore it. Lou Ferrigno, yes, big ups to Lou Ferrigno.
We have an explanation of a comment with another comment. Nate was saying I nailed it with a reply to his then. Okay. That makes
well done,
sense.
Carlos.
So
Pat yourself
people
on
are
the
having
back.
like conversations without us.
Yeah, I mean these guys are this is how friendships are made by ignoring commenting on our stuff and ignoring us.
Well, those guys, Nate and Carlos have known each other for like 20 years or something.
Okay.
So they are old friends from my G4 days that are still here.
Yeah, those are the days. Anyway,
Yeah.
All right.
Now, closing thoughts. Any last thing you want to say about Secret Invasion?
Thank God it's over.
I'm happy it's over. Next. Yeah.
Next is we go back to Star Wars. And
we have Ahsoka. That's right.
Yeah.
Ahsoka's coming at the end of July.
It's August now, mate.
End of August.
This is August, so it's actually only like a couple of weeks away.
Last week.
I will say, I mean, if we just want to just throw in at random stuff here, I do want to say that I am enjoying Twisted Metal. I'm also started playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'm enjoying that.
Yes, I've been playing the beta forever.
I'm not going too far into it because I know I'm about to lose everything. And yes, that's about it.
Good Omens 2, highly recommended. Love the first series.
I haven't started yet. Every time I want to watch it, the missus just doesn't. But tomorrow, watching Ninja Turtles.
Oh.
And on Thursday, watching Meg 2, The Trench. Meg Harder. I loved the first Meg. And yes, Samoa Joe in Twisted Metal is absolutely fucking bonkers, and he is amazing. He is voiced by Will Arnett.
Yes, I've gone to karaoke with Samoa Joe. He is a fine fellow.
Does he play the clown?
Yes.
Yeah, he does. He does, but it's not his voice. It's Will Arnett. And I mean, it's just another. Funnier. Yeah, it does work. It works. Anthony Mackie is. Anthony Mackie. I mean, he does it so well. It actually gives me a lot more interest in hoping that we'll see another Twisted Metal game that perhaps has a little more, expanse to it, and almost has this sort of like rage, Mad Max
I'm actually
feel to
really
the game.
surprised that we're not seeing. I'm surprised we haven't already like had that announced. I mean, given that they're doing the TV show.
Is Jaffe still around working on that, or
He's still around? I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know if he's working on it, but
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, he's.
but if
He
you know,
certainly does
think-
his podcast, and
yeah. I don't know.
Paul, any new movies or TV that
I mean,
you
like I
recommend?
said, the Strange New World Star Trek has been really, really good this season. The last episode that they did after the crossover episode was really kind of brutal in a way you
do
don't
not give
usually
anything
see.
away. I'm waiting for everything. I've been avoiding spoilers.
Okay.
I am going to binge the fuck out of that once everything's dropped.
Yeah,
because that's
it's-
how I got into both Discovery and Strange New Worlds. I binge watched them both during the pandemic, and I do not want to change that. So
have
I
you
know
watched Have you watched Lower Decks at all?
I've watched some. I couldn't really get into Lower Decks. To be
Okay,
honest
but
with
you know,
but
like the basic
I
characters.
know what's coming on with
Okay.
with Dennis Quaid's son Jack Quaid from also The Boys.
The Boys, yes.
Mhm.
And
And
he's
Oppenheimer.
also Superman in my what's it called? My Friend's Superman.
Don't know that one. What is?
It's a new cartoon. It's on Adult Swim.
Oh,
Oh, it's also on Max.
Yeah, it's pretty
yeah.
good. And he's like the voice of Superman, which is kind of weird, but at first. But
he's a good actor. I mean, like I said, he's an
Yeah.
Oppenheimer as well, and he's really good in that.
yeah.
his dad's a little cuckoo right now, but
His-
Wait,
His-
is his dad the crazy one or the
His
not-
dad is his dad is Dennis Quaid,
Dennis Quaid, not Randy Quaid.
not Randy
Okay.
Quaid.
Like,
I was gonna say.
His dad is not cuckoo. It's his uncle who's cuckoo. Dennis is. I actually met Dennis once. We had him come in when I was working at Vivendi, and we were doing time shift, and he came in to record the vocals for the lead character, and he was such a nice guy. But he was obviously having his demons. He was going through that whole controversy with Meg Ryan and Russell Crowe at the time.
Oh God.
So yeah, he was obviously not on his A game, and ended up got in the end replaced by Nick Chinland, who was also an absolute fantastic person to work with and who had plenty of war stories.
I was
But yeah,
thinking more about Dennis Quaid being more full on MAGA than literally crazy.
I thought it was
he?
Randy Quaid was full on MAGA, not Dennis.
I'm
I
pretty
may be
sure
wrong.
it's Dennis.
I may be wrong, which would suck balls.
I
would
would be
never-
sad if either of them were.
Well, no, but I mean,
both of
Randy
those
Quaid
guys.
is fucking lunatic.
Do you guys I love Invincible, Rob. And yeah, we talked about Adam Eve at the beginning. I did watch that after my Apple Watch lied to me and said Invincible season 2 was on. Yeah, I like the special. It's almost an hour. I think it fits into the tone of the Invincible series, but gives it a different feel because it's obviously talking about a different character. But the writing was good, action was good, and it gets a little heavy at times. And of course, there's always the fucked up things that happen in Invincible that are.
Oh, I'm now
Always
seeing
fun
that
to
Dennis
watch.
Quaid is indeed manga, and I'm now disappointed because I can never watch Inner Space again.
Oh, that's such a good movie too. I do.
You fucking ruined Inner
I'm
Space. for me.
sorry. I'm sorry. I feel bad about that.
All right, we're done. This show is over. Let's go. I need to go and have some supper and just try and choke down my disappointment that Dennis Quaid
Yes.
has gone the way of the fruit, the way of the fucking nut bar.
So, guys, thanks for watching. We will be back next Tuesday, same time next week. We'll either be talking about the start of the Premier League season, Twisted Metal, or Good Omens 2. Marcus and I will figure it out.
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja
we will
Turtles.
talk about the Meg 2.
Leave a comment with what you want us, or drop us a line on Twitter, Facebook, and we will see you next time on the Beer Pad. Say goodbye, boys.
Goodbye,
Bye,
boys.